Hello, online pipe community. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Today we're going to talk about estate hunting, the cleanup. What supplies you're going to need for a typical job. Not really doing a full-on restoration, but cleaning up estate pipes as you get them. First, in a Briar Lee sitting poker. Nice, I guess all pokers are sitting pokers. A nice bent poker here. I've got some E. Huffman Spillman mixture, courtesy of Average John. This is, what would you call this, John? A codger English? It's got Latakia and Turkish, but the rest is predominantly Burley instead of Virginia. There's a pinch of Virginia in it. So much like my beloved pirate cake, it's a Burley-based English. It's pretty nice. If you're not into Virginias, that's me. This might be one for you. It's a mild, not a heavy Latakia like pirate cake is. That's good. Thank you, John. I'm going to enjoy a number of bowls out of the sample you sent me. Well, let's talk cleaning up estate pipes. Say you've already bought your pipe. Now what? Well, I typically start by taking a look at the inside of the bowl. And if that bowl needs a reaming, the tool I usually use is a reamer like this. You can pick these up relatively inexpensively. Nice solid build. Increases diameter as you tighten it down. It's fairly flexible in terms of the diameters that it will handle, and it has a screw-in auger for you to clean out stems. If you have a blocked or very tight stem, you can use that to open that draw up. So that's typically the first thing that I do. Now, once I've got it reamed, sometimes if you can smell a little bit of a ghost in your pipe, some people will do it regardless of whether there's a ghost. The next thing would be a treatment with salt. Fill up that bowl with some good coarse kosher salt. Stop up the end, bend a pipe cleaner in half and stop up your stem. But then fill up the bowl with salt and very carefully pour in some isopropyl alcohol. Now, as you can see here, I've got some 99%. Everclear is high enough alcohol content to do a good job of cleaning. A lot of people will use bourbons, rums. Those work. But if what you're really trying to do is sanitize and clean, you need more alcohol than what's in there. A 151 rum or Everclear is high enough to really do the trick. I just go ahead and buy the 99% stuff. All right, let's get relit here. Now that will take care of the bowl. That alcohol will also come in handy with a bunch of these. You're going to want regular pipe cleaners. You may want some fluffy ones. Depending on your stem, if you have a very tight stem, you may need some tapered ones. And for dirty stummels, not stems, dirty stummels, you will want some bristle cleaners. Does not take a lot of alcohol to get these things damp enough to be effective. On your stem, make sure you are not using bristles. You will scrape up the inside of that stem. Save the bristles for the briar. But you will want plenty of those for cleaning out both the stumel and the stem. How many you need depends on just how clean you want the inside to get and how dirty it was when it started. I do not run pipe cleaners through my stems until they come out completely pure white. Once they get down to a dingy yellow, I'm pretty satisfied that the inside of the pipe is clean enough for me to smoke it. But they start out a dark brown and black. You definitely want to run a few more of those through there. It's all up to you, of course. I sanitize the outsides of these things anyway with alcohol, so I'm not worried about it. It doesn't bother me to smoke somebody else's pipe once I've got it nice and clean. All right, let's continue. While we're talking about stems, removing oxidation is a big deal. You may have a stem that's perfectly clean, but chances are good that you don't. Now, for very light oxidation, these magic erasers sometimes will remove enough by Mr. Clean brand. Sometimes those will remove enough of the oxidation that you'll be happy. For the most part, I'm not convinced. I know people that swear by them, but I guess I'm buying pipes that are far too oxidized for that, because I rely on two more chemical compounds. One, good old OxyClean. I just put a half a scoop in a plastic tub about this size, fill it with water, make sure that it's dissolved in there very nicely, and let the stems, let it just soak overnight. Another advantage, if you happen to have old pipes that have stingers, if you can get that stinger off, soaking it in that OxyClean gets that nice and shiny clean as well. Now, if your stem has some kind of a painted stamping that would be damaged by OxyClean, OxyClean will strip that stuff right off. Then what you probably want is to try a product that is a little gentler, and in my experience so far has not stripped paint from stampings, and that is this Briarville, the stem oxidation remover. Just open up the lid and dunk your stem in there overnight. Now, this is good stuff. It's not as good as OxyClean, at least when it comes to removing oxidation. It is better than OxyClean when it comes to not removing paint. So, take your pick, or just let the stem itself be your guide. Most of the stems that I do not have paint, so I can use OxyClean for badly oxidized stems. Now, what happens? A little ash right up through that, even with the deep bend. What happens when you want to clean the bowl itself, the outside? Well, sometimes you'll have some lava built up along the top, and the bowl itself may just be dingy from years of hand oils and smoking without ever being cleaned. Your friend, Murphy's Oil Soap. I use toothbrushes dipped in some of that Murphy's Oil Soap to scrub the outside of the bowl and the rim. Now, the rim can be particularly vexatious. Sometimes even repeated scrubbing with toothbrushes. See if I can talk today. Doesn't do the trick, and you have to get in there a little tighter by hand. This cotton squares, If you're married, your wife probably has some of these. These are just thin cotton squares. These, I can just dab a little bit of Murphy's oil soap on that, and then use that with my fingertips and fingernails around the top of the rim to try and scrape away more gently than some other tools, to scrape away some of that lava if it's a little more stubborn. Now, if that lava is really stubborn, I will resort to one of these. And that is one of those non-scratch type kitchen sponges. In my experience, if I use it lightly, if I'm not just scrubbing like crazy on the thing, it will remove lava without damaging the surface of the rim. Now, you do want to be careful, as with anything that's abrasive. You do want to be careful, but so far I have not experienced any scratching or anything like that just by scrubbing lightly using those things. Okay, we are getting down to the last couple of tools. Okay, your stem itself may have some very fine tooth chatter. For small tooth chatter, just a lighter, Bic will do. A lighter will work, and you hold it a couple of inches down below and warm up the stem, and you can feel it getting hot. The stem material, as it expands, the material expands back to its original shape, and so the little pits and little tooth things will disappear with a very judicious, or I cannot talk today, application of heat. You do want to be careful. You don't want to burn or melt or reshape your stem. So, use the heat carefully. The other thing you're going to want for your stems is going to be micromesh. Now, I use these rectangular pads, and I've got a set of 9 of them, ranging from 1,500 grit up to 12,000 grit. The first few coarse grits are going to be removing oxidation. They're going to be taking some of that surface material off. I choose micromesh over sandpaper because you are less likely to reshape your button, your stem, or the end of a stem where it meets the briar. You are not going to round that off. And no, this is not hot, so I did not just open a hot pipe. I do caution against that. The micromesh is not as likely to reshape your stem in ways that you do not want it to be reshaped, but it will get the oxidation off, especially like I said, the first 3 coarse grits are like 1,500, 1,800, and 2,400 or something like that, and those are helping to remove the oxidation. Once you get past that, you're putting a shine on your stem. And I go through all 9 pads every time. Now, another thing that is useful that those pads are useful for is the top of your rim. Again, if you're having trouble getting all of the lava off, or if there's some light charring, you can use the coarser grit micromesh to help get the last bit of that. These flies are driving me crazy. I am so distracted right now. You can use the micromesh to get the last bit of that lava off, or even to very gently remove charring around the rim. Something that is really useful with these rectangles is one of these little foam squares. It comes with the brand of micromesh that I get. I just buy them off of Amazon. They're soft. It's a soft but firm sponge, it gives you just enough shape that you can get up into the creases of a button, so that you can get the oxidation out of those edges. And there's enough flat surface there that when you're working on a rim, you can do it without reshaping it. So it does double duty. Now, the last two things on the list are for after you've gotten everything cleaned up. There's actually three, but I'm not going to show you one because you've got it in your pantry. After you've done a thorough cleaning job on these things, especially if you've used Murphy's oil soap, you have stripped away a little bit of the outside finish. If you're careful with the Murphy's oil soap and the abrasives that you use, you have not stripped away enough to need to restain your pipe. I do not recommend, unless you really know what you're doing, I do not recommend going all the way down to briar and restaining a pipe. What I will do, however, is put a couple of drops of olive oil on a pipe and rub that in and let it set. That will make your grain pop again, without the need for actually restaining it or recoloring it. And that will really, you'll be surprised. That'll make the grain pop. Let that soak in for a couple of hours, and then I hit it with this Decatur no buff wax. This stuff I rub it all over the stummel and the stem. I let that sit and dry for about 15 minutes or so, and then I wipe it off with a cloth and buff it with a horsehair. There we go. with the horsehair shoe brush. That shoe brush will give you a nice satiny finish. You will not get a shine if you do not use a buffing wheel. But you will get a nice satin finish to it. And for me, that's enough. That's plenty. I'm not trying to restore pipes back to original condition. I'm trying to make them smokable. There are other things that you will want to use if you get a pipe with deep tooth chatter, or something else, other dings or holes in the stem. For example, you might want some food grade charcoal dust, food grade charcoal powder, and black super glue. Mix those things together on a paper plate with a toothpick, and you can use that concoction to fill in bigger holes and then sand them down. I don't bother. Okay? You simply, I did it a couple of times. It was not worth it to me. If what you're looking for is a perfect, looks like new stem, that might be worth the effort for you. But other than that, these basic supplies are plenty to get you into nicely cleaned up, restored look for your pipe, and definitely back to smokability. Well, this has run on about double the length of one of my normal videos. If you would like to see a pipe actually go through this process, let me know. If there's enough interest, I may do a video on one of my pipe cleanups and show you each of these steps. I'll have to break it down, or it'll be an interminably long video. But I can show you some of the basic cleanup stuff if you're interested. Otherwise, we're going to have an estate pipe wrap up next week. Gotten some more tips from viewers, especially some of the guys who have done a lot of estate cleanup. And with that, I will leave you today. Light something you like. Enjoy your afternoon.